What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie to 988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And today I want to talk to you about what it's like to be sick. Now, I'll preface this by saying that I certainly don't know what it's like to be really sick. I can't imagine what Alzheimer's disease is like, or cancer, having a heart attack. I can't imagine what it's like to be born with a disease like Crohn's disease or lupus. I can't imagine what it's like to have leukemia at a young age and die. I can't imagine what it's like to be deaf or blind. I've been very fortunate, very fortunate. There are people out there who know way too much about that, and I'm so sorry for them. But I have had a sickly life, and I want to talk about that a little bit today. A lot of that, by the way, is my fault, and I'm going to take full credit for it when the time comes. But when I was a kid, I was always very, very sick. I was hospitalized for pneumonia about 5 times before I was the age of 4. I had the worst time breathing. I still do. I had asthma. I had allergies. I'm allergic to every airborne particle there is, from tobacco smoke to dust particles to the grass outside, to the trees, to everything, just everything. And it gave me a state of chronic bronchitis that I still have today. I'm constantly producing too much mucus all the time, all the time. Boogie is a very appropriate nickname for the record. And I remember one year it got so bad, I also got the chicken pox and I got pneumonia with it. So they had to put me in this oxygen tent so that I could breathe. And in this oxygen tent, the chicken pox thrived. I literally got it on every inch of my body, every inch. My ears, my forehead, my face, my neck, my genitalia, my fingers, my hand, palms of my hand had chicken pox. And it was miserable, absolutely miserable. And because of that, partly because of that, I ended up getting pretty fat. And that made the issue even worse. It made it so difficult to do many of the things that so many people take for granted. And when you're that size, when you're as fat as I was when I was 15 years old, clocking in at 350 pounds, they'll tell you, son, if you keep going the way you're going, you're not going to live to be 20. You'll be lucky to make it to 25. And I had led such a shitty life up to that point, and I was so depressed and so unhappy. That sounded good to me. I couldn't even imagine beating my food addiction. I couldn't even imagine talking myself out of being addicted to food. So I'm just going to eat, and I'll be dead by 25. Good riddance. I'll be ready to go. Well, it turned out that age was a pretty accurate age because at the age of 25, I nearly died. I had developed a condition in my legs called lymphedema due to the poor circulation in my body. It's a condition in which your legs swell and the skin dies and it gets gross and awful, and you get these weird misformed, bizarrely shaped legs, and lymph will leak from them from time to time, and I didn't know what it was, and my doctor didn't know what it was, and it got so bad, it got infected. There was this huge necrotic wound about that big around in my leg, and they kept trying to treat it, but eventually I went septic. The infection got into my blood, it got into my heart, it went into my brain, and they thought I was going to die. I laid in bed for 2 days, septic, unconscious, unable to do anything about it, and I didn't give a shit. I was ready to go. I'm dying, and I don't care. I'll just sleep it off. Maybe I'll live, maybe I won't. My good friend Philip Bird and my good friend Chad, they came across me and saw that I hadn't been out of bed for 2 days, and they drugged me to the hospital, and they pumped me full of antibiotics, and they pumped me full of fluids, they pumped me full of nutrition, and they saved my life. And I remember at that time laying in that bed and saying to myself, I'm ready to go. It's okay if I die. It's okay if I die. I don't really care. And, I tried to make some life-changing alterations. I lost like 75 pounds. I tried the keto diet for the first time, switched over to diet soda, tried to exercise more. But I was so depressed. I was so miserable. I was so unhappy. I just stopped caring again. And I didn't give a shit. And I got fatter. And I became a shut-in. And I just didn't care. And when I turned 30, I got sick again. Something caused my heart to freak out, and I was beating at 140 beats a minute, and I was going to have a heart attack. They thought I was going to pop, and I went into the emergency room at the behest of one of my friends at the time, and they told me, son, you're about to have a heart attack. Well, you need your consent to do this, to do this. They rushed me into the back of the ER. They pumped me full of drugs. They managed to slow down my heart, and they hospitalized me that night, and I remember laying in bed thinking, well, I made it to 30. This is it. I'm done. And I'm okay with that. I'm ready to go. I've been ready to go. I didn't even try. I didn't even make much of my life. I'm happy to go. But I didn't die. And they figured out what was wrong with me. Turns out that I had a family history of sleep apnea, that I had sleep apnea. They put me on a CPAP machine. I'm on a BiPAP machine now. They got me breathing again. And it's so funny that it was my breathing that nearly killed me. Doctor told me at a very young age that that's what would. And I started getting healthier. I started doing more. I took it as a slight wake-up call. I made a few changes. I started getting out of the house more. I decided to start dating again a little bit. And eventually I ended up right back at it, playing World of Warcraft, playing EverQuest, I think, was actually the game of choice at the time. I gave up, and I didn't care, and I got fatter. And I just sat around, and I waited to die. And I turned 35, and I got sick again. Another infection in the leg. Another wound that needed to be healed. I lost all of the skin on my left leg from the knee down to the ankle. Every inch of skin was peeled off in front of me. But before they got to do that, I spent 2 days in bed, unconscious, laying there waiting to die. And I didn't care. I didn't care. And I remember when they hospitalized me there, the night of that surgery, they scraped the dead skin off of my leg, and my girlfriend at the time broke up with me, and it was a bad day. And I remember laying in the bed that night thinking, well, I made it all the way to 35. That's a good run. Ready to go. I don't care if I die. But you know what? I didn't. And I got out of there, and I tried to get better. And I had to go on disability to pay for the medical bills and to try to survive because I couldn't work. And my business had failed. And 2 years after that, my mother died. Holy crap. But I learned something from all of this. I learned that I might not live to be 40 or 45 or 50. Hell, if I'm lucky, I might not live to be 60. They can't tell you your future. You don't know what your destiny is. You don't know what those choices that you're going to make until you made them. And I was living to die. But something changed in me that third time I got sick. I started fighting. And when Mom passed, when she died, I realized that wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want to join her in the dirt. I wanted to live. I wanted to, for the first time in my fucking life, I wanted to live. And I fought. And I fight even today to try to get used to this hunger that's in my brain that tells me to eat. Eat. I try to shut that voice down and stop that addiction. And the voice in my head that tells you to stay in bed and be depressed and it doesn't matter. And don't get up and don't try. I have to ignore that voice all day too and fight to answer these emails, to tweet back, to talk to people, to record videos, to upload them. And I have to fight it. And I'll tell you something. If I'd fought 20 years ago, if I'd fought 10 years ago, imagine where I'd be today. Because look at where I am. Because this is what I fought for. This right here is what I fought for. The ability to turn on this web camera, the ability to talk to you, the ability to make your life better, to make my life better too, to meet my fiance who's sleeping in the next room, to spend time with the people who love me and make new friends and make new family. That's what I was fighting for. And I have it. What if I'd given up when I was 35? What if I'd given up when I was 30? What if I'd given up when I was 25? So the two things that I want to teach you, number one, never give up. Never give up hope. Never. You cannot predict your future. Don't even try. And number two, it's never too late. If it wasn't too late for me, it's not too late for you. You've got this. You can do this. You can make anything you want to out of your life. And you know what? If I lose this weight, my body's going to look disgusting when I look in the mirror. It's going to be all saggy skin. I'm going to look like a wet sack of shit, and that's okay because I'll be healthier, I'll be happier, I'll be able to move. My knees are shot, my back is shot, my brain is gone. I've done a bunch of damage to my heart, but that's not going to get me to give up now. Not now. And if I'm not giving up, you don't get to give up. And, no matter what it is, whether you're a little rich white kid from the suburbs or you're some blind and deaf kid who's reading a Braille transcript of this, you don't get to give up. If I don't get to give up, none of us do. So fight for what's yours. Fight for what you want. Make the best out of your time that's left. Because, we'll all be lucky to live to be 100. You've got some time left. Make the absolute best of it. Build the most you can. And I'm going to do the same thing. And we'll see exactly how far we can get together.